Hey folks, Father Sampathik from Virus here. Today we're going to see how to use Intel Denoiser in Blender Compositor with Lasco render engine. So it's pretty simple setup here, you can see, and here is the light informations, okay, HDR and other things. There are some lights, sunlight and hemi light here. So let's see how to work with these things. So first see the basic, okay. So what we need to do is basically we're going to uncheck denoiser. We don't need this denoiser here, and let's go to these AOV, okay. So we will need, first of all, we will need the albedo pass here, and we will need the average shading normal, okay, these two. And now if we render it, press F12 to render it, and let's see. So here is the render, you know, the noisy thing here. So let's get to compositing, and we're going to use nodes and render layer, and this is stuff. And now if we go to the viewer node, let's merge them all together. What we can do is basically we can pretty easily go for a denoise. We're going to check the image here, we're going to give it normal, and we're going to give it an albedo, okay, and it will give us the denoise version. So if we unmute it, this is the noise version, and if we mute and unmute it, and you can see the difference, okay. So this is the basic. So now let's talk about some advanced things. Suppose we have a camera blur, and also we will have motion blur, okay. So how to enable it? Let's go to the camera and select this camera. We're going to use motion blur here, check object and camera. So this is the shutter frame we're using, and also we're going for a depth of field, okay. So these are in ray tracing, this will be, you know, quite obviously noisy. So suppose we have something like this. So now let's go to compositing, and I'm just going to turn off use nodes here just to demonstrate. Press F12, and this will be our render. Alright, so you can see this is the motion blur, and this is the depth of field original. So if you go to the compositing and use nodes, and yeah, let's update it. There we go, okay. So now you can see the update. Open seal, buffer groups, 2 pass, and edit low, and it should be a chunk of 128, okay, save it. So this is all fine, no problem. But if we go to layout, and suppose we have this plane, so we can go to render here, and I'm going to turn off this render visibility. That means it has transparency, right? So to enable the transparency, what we need to do is basically go to the camera, and we need to go to the image pipeline and transparent film, okay. So now it is all transparent. So if we now go to F12 and render it, you will see some problem. So it is compositing now, okay. So now you can see that this alpha has some problem. So if you go here, you can see the alpha. So let's go to the compositing here, and I'm going to unmute this guy here. You can see this is the denoise version, and there are some alpha problem going on. If we uncheck this denoise version, you can see that everything is denoised, but these depth of fields has some alpha problem, and also the motion blur has some alpha problem. So how to resolve it? Well, so this denoise comes with let me go here. If I separate these denoise setup here, you will see that it can denoise the R channel, it can denoise the G channel, it can denoise the B channel as well, but it will not denoise the alpha channel. Okay, so for that we need to create another denoise node here, and we're just going to kick it in here. Okay, now you will get a denoise version of your alpha as well. Okay, that's how. If you have a transparency layout, something like this, a transparency layout, then you should use an denoise version in alpha as well. So now what we can do is basically we can combine all of these RGBA channel here. Okay, so this red will be the red, okay, this green will be the green, this blue will be the blue, and this denoised alpha will be the alpha. So now if we say it here, you will see that everything will be perfectly denoised. There we go. You can see all the denoised version. Alright, so let's test it. Let's use a checkerboard if we have it here. Let's see, texture, and let's go to compositing. That means texture node editor, and we're going to create a brush here. Let's create a new use node, and I'm going for a checker. So let's enable it here, the texture. So if we go to color, we will get it here. So let's create it as black. So now yeah, let's size it up a little bit, something like yeah, let's use 0.1, something like that. Alright, it will work. So let's use an alpha over here, alpha over, and I'm going to top it up here, and no, this will be the BG. Yeah, this will be the BG, and this will be our 3D. So if we go here now, you can see what is happening. Alright, okay, so you can see the alpha is pure, alpha is good. Although OIDN, that means Intel itself, doesn't support these alpha setup, but I think it is going through some development. So yeah, and I have tested it with animation as well, and it is working pretty nicely with the alpha denoising as well. So yeah, let's see. So let's see the animation here, and here is the animation. So let's go to DJB, and let's see it in full frame. Okay, and here is our alpha. Okay, so it's more or less good. And the thing is, when you should use these alpha denoiser as well, well, if you have something in motion, that means motion blur, or if you have depth of field. Alright, otherwise this alpha manipulation is not needed, because it doesn't mean anything, because we will have solid alpha, not this type of semi-transparent alpha and noisy alpha, if we don't use depth of field and motion blur. But in production we use this to set up quite often. So yeah, so if you are using DOF and motion blur, you can use these alpha as well, alpha denoising as well. So yeah, that's it. I'm Father Simple Thing from CG Virus, and we're going to see you next time. Bye bye.